Welcome back to Inspector Toolbelt Talk, everyone. Today we have on us live from a commercial inspection, Mike Ortiz. How are you, Mike?
Good, brother. How you doing?
Hey, not bad. So I'm really glad to have you back on the show. Your episodes tend to be extremely helpful and detailed in a way that guys can go step by step and do certain things. And
Yeah,
I'm really glad to have you back on because you have some useful stuff to talk to us about today. And you're actually on a commercial inspection, aren't you?
yeah, I am. I have a property in Orange County. It's very large, so it's taking a couple of days, but my guys are doing a great job. So I'm really proud of everybody. It just takes time with commercial, especially when you're dealing with a medical facility.
Yeah. That's going to be a whole different podcast getting into commercial
Oh,
inspections. I don't want to get hung up on it, but
yeah,
man, that's the way to go. That's where the money's at. That's
yes,
where, you know, 2 days are filled up. And I love to hear you say my guys, because I
yeah,
remember when we first met, it was Mike, and
yeah,
now it's Mike and his guys.
yeah.
That's awesome. Congratulations, man.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm very proud. I am. I feel very fortunate to have them, and I feel very fortunate to be able to trust people enough to be able to help me because it's not just me; it's me and my family, and the business that we've built together. So it's really humbling and very. I feel very grateful for the opportunity to help someone provide for their own needs, and at the same time build a relationship with someone like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's nice. You've done really well. And the subject we're going to be talking about today is the main point is going to be direct to consumer marketing. Now, as guys are driving in their truck listening to this podcast, I just pictured about half of you turning it down, saying, whoa, 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 we don't do that. Because I've often said in this podcast, every agent is worth 10 inspections a year.
Yeah,
Every client is worth one inspection every 10 years. So you go where the juice is.
exactly.
Um, but especially with what's going on with NAR and the way the market is right now, it's a bit of a shift. The thing with NAR is in the future. That hasn't quite happened yet.
Yeah,
But the way that the market is right now, with let's be honest, I forget what the latest statistics were, but we have half as many houses on the market, and only half of those ever get a home inspection anymore. And that's kind of where we're at. So the home inspection industry, we're hurting a little bit right now. So
yeah.
this is direct consumer marketing is very important, and a sub point to that will be using AI to do direct consumer marketing. Do you find that marketing to consumers directly is more beneficial now than it was before?
Yeah. So the best way to look at it is that I started listening to this podcast um, because I was by myself as an inspector after leaving a big firm, and I had no idea really what kind of what kind of plan I had to grow my business. Right. All I knew was that I was really good at going out finding the agents. Honestly, the way I was trained was go to as many agents as possible and get as many of them to refer you as possible, and this is how you will be successful. It's
Mhm.
shifted completely here now. The NAR lawsuit is on appeal, so it'll take a year or two before anything comes into play. But the the where it's important to the inspectors right now is that okay, so there's a possibility that eventually a buyer's agent might not be in the same role as you're used to them being in the
Mhm.
future. So I like to prepare for the worst case scenario. Imagine there was no buyer's agent. So no one that their buyer who is hiring you has to refer them to an inspector. So let's say that means that the consumer's responsibility is to find a home inspector. Maybe the lender can help you find the title, or escrow lender can help you find the appraiser, but when it comes to the inspection, it's not required anywhere. So it's something the consumer might have to find on their own. So you want to find a way to get to that consumer without the buyer's agent pushing for you. So if imagine if you lost your buyer's agents, right? It's like your heart would drop. Okay, no
Mhm.
more referring agents. How would you get the work? Beyond using Google My Business, which is an amazing for if you're going from single man to multi, even one, it's such a great tool. Yeah, they're $50 a lead or whatever, but it keeps your guys busy if that's something that you can do that for.
Are you
And
talking about Google local service ads? You mean?
yeah, the local services. I'm
Oh
sorry. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Those are amazing right now. Those are
Those are
killing it.
great. Yeah, they're the quality of the leads and everything, and the ease of dispute is very easy if you do the
Hmm.
numbers right. Okay, and then if you track it. Now, as far as direct, that's the only direct to consumer that you can pay right now beyond Facebook ads and Google ads. But what I'm saying is that imagine if you didn't have the buyer's agents to refer, what would you do? How would you scramble that up? Now, if you've been doing it for a while and you've had a lot of buyer's agents and you have that step ahead, so this is for guys that have been doing it for a year or two and they're finding that they're successful at 2 to 500 inspections a year, then your reviews should speak for themselves. If you're not
Hmm.
already, use Blip or other apps that get you reviews by constantly asking the client, hey, how did you think Mike did on this inspection? And because we've had 100+ reviews in the past couple months, just because of that,
Hmm.
it sends automated text messages. Now, that's one thing. So that reputation will cement you alone in your Google listing. Having a Google listing is paramount. Yelp, I don't really talk about Yelp much because they're just bad. I don't like to say
Oh
bad,
my goodness,
but
I
yeah,
hate
it's
Yelp.
it's
I said
pretty
this
bad.
on last week's podcast. I hate you, Yelp.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty bad. But you should at least have a Yelp profile.
Hmm.
And with a
Yeah.
couple of five, as long as you have a couple of 5-star reviews, then you're fine. But don't
Hmm.
focus on that. I would focus on Google because if you're thinking about all encompassing, Google is all encompassing. All right. So I think that without having buyer's agents, you have to go straight to the consumer. And the way to do that is you have a couple options. So you have your local markets, which you can do on all the Facebook groups. All right. You
Hmm.
have, I mean, sometimes when I do an inspection in a city that I don't usually go to, they're like, they ask me, Mike, do you know a good plumber here in the area to take care of some of these drains that are leaking? And I say, you know what? I don't know anybody in this city or this area that I can, refer to you. But if I'm going to be honest with you, a place that people air out all their concerns and brag about what a great job someone does in an honest way would be the local Facebook group. They'll tell you the honest
Yeah.
truth. Don't use this guy, don't use that guy. Now, that's a perfect opportunity for you to put yourself out there. Okay. I know it seems like a small thing, but people like to talk, especially when they have bad experiences, but at least catch the ones that talk well about you when you do something right. Now, a lot of new construction in my area. It might not be the same in other people's areas, but a lot of new construction inspections, so it's easy to go put door tags on a home. You have to find the sweet spot. You put a door tag not while they're building it because the builder's going to come and tear it right off. You put
Hmm.
it right when they're in escrow and they're about to close. And these are kind of going back to the old school ways of marketing for yourself, because you have to prepare for the idea that it may not be the kind of market that you are used to. Um, Hundreds of thousands of agents are no longer renewing their licenses. It is,
Hmm.
the market has dropped for that job, like off a cliff. Interest rates just went down like 0.5%, like a day or two ago. So
That's nothing. No, they're gonna go
that's
up again.
that's yeah, they're gonna move up and down. And the thing is that anybody who hangs on now, they'll be good. If you this is
Yep.
this is the peak, because I've had in the past couple of days, and I hate to see this, I get calls from inspectors leaving other companies looking for work, looking for a job. I can't take it on capacity right now because I'm as full as I can be, but I'm not where I have time to train another inspector and put them on the board. And I'm seeing it in the real world, and so this is the time to this is where you kind of cement yourself in your own community. Now, again, I will always attribute my success to the fact that I cover a broad area. It might be time to broaden some of the things you said you'd never do. If you're content where you're at, it's important, but it is important to go back to that old school way of thinking where you're going direct to the consumer. Yard signs, door hangers, going to the networking events, Facebook, all the ways that people look for services.
I want to touch on a couple of those points. First thing I want to touch on, because you made some beautiful points. I was talking to a guy just 2 days ago, and it's the same conversation I've had over and over again. Ian, I've been in business for 15 years. I have to close my doors because it's not a matter of, you know, I looked at the guy's market. I'm like, oh, there's like no houses for sale. I mean, what do you do? So I'm like, you're not a failure. He's like, no, I look on Facebook groups and all these guys are like, I'm having a banner year. I'm like, come on. Half these guys are blowing smoke. I'm looking at the stats all across the US and Canada. There's a few guys that are in small pockets that are doing okay. For the most part, people are hurting. The estimates of how many home inspectors have gone out of business is nuts.
Mm,
Like parts of New Jersey have lost like 30% of their home inspection community in just the past 6 months.
that's why.
There's not many. I didn't keep track of a lot of states because I was watching the numbers go down, but there's a lot of home inspectors that just don't renew their license, leave. Agents, like you said, they're mass exodus. And we said this on the podcast before. This is when a business is made. I built my first inspection company. It went big after the Great Recession. I
Mm,
lost 45% or so of my competition. And then the other ones got part-time jobs. So when everything came back, small wave, they're like, Ian's the only one there. Let's go use him.
yeah,
This is the time to get market share. But I do agree with you. Some old school methods are going to work really well right now. The
yeah.
Facebook group thing, every town in my area, the younger guys are always like, oh, nobody uses Facebook.
The
Listen,
people that can
about,
afford to buy homes do.
yeah, like 60% of the world's population does.
Yeah.
And even younger people, they still use Facebook because they're like, oh, that's where I chat with my uncle and
Are
all
we
that.
still younger? Are we still in
I
that
don't
group?
know, man, I'm old.
No,
How old are you?
35.
30, oh, you're still young. You're still young. I'm
There.
42. I have to ask my wife how old I am.
Yeah, I
I
have
think
to
I'm 42.
too.
But those Facebook groups, I actually joined a whole bunch of them recently to sell a vehicle that I had.
Mm.
And it's amazing the interaction that's on there.
Oh yeah,
Those are amazing opportunities to go direct to consumer. Hey, thinking of buying in this town that's 2 towns over. Anybody know a good home inspector? Why, hello.
yeah,
Here I am.
yeah.
But yard signs, I always talk about my driveway contractor because, man, that guy is awesome.
Hmm.
He's just a great advertiser without knowing it. He just sealed my driveway. Me and him are just shooting the breeze out front.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know what makes me the most money? He goes, I spend tens of thousands of dollars on marketing all the time because he's working these big jobs. He goes, that little $4 yard sign will get me more work than all of my other advertising put together.
Big time. Yeah.
Yep, and he just leaves them. He doesn't even care. Leaves them in the yard, and then people chuck them. He doesn't care. He's
Yeah.
just hoping that somebody forgets about it for a couple of weeks, and now he has free advertising.
Oh yeah, big time. It's the if you're really quick about yard signs, I was able to get a deal for 300 yard signs for $300, but they don't come with um the little feet, I guess.
Oh,
Just all it says on the yard sign. This is an ancillary, just ancillary. This is how I thought out of the box that got me really busy. Just out of the yard sign, you can put the word sewer line inspection, and then just put a 1-800 number that you can track on
hmm.
call rail, and then you just put them freaking everywhere. They're gonna take half of them down, but there's something that people could, the toilets flush low, whatever, and then you get a bunch of calls. And a sewer line inspection, I charge $295 to go out there. It's almost like half of the fee of an inspection just to go out there for 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah,
It's money sitting there, and that's an old school method of doing it.
that's a great idea, and it is an old school method. But there's a reason why politicians who get all of these. I mean, when there's a presidential election down my road, there's like 30 signs, and I'm like, this presidential elect whatever you call him, this
Yeah,
guy running for president pays the people to put signs all over the place. Why wouldn't we? And I like that idea. Just put the service and a phone number. That works too. Keep the yard signs really simple,
yeah,
but put them wherever you're driving. If it's a legal place to put it, pop it
yeah,
in. If we're doing a pre-listing inspection, those were always my favorite because
yeah.
then those people were usually happy and they'd let you leave it in your yard for quite some time,
Of
in
course.
their yard for quite some time. Buyer's inspections, I'd usually take those out of the yard after
Yeah,
my inspection, but put them in before, take them out after,
yeah,
that kind of thing. Or if everybody seemed kind of cool, maybe when we're picking up the radon test, pick it up. But typically, I didn't want to tick off the seller.
mhm,
But yeah, have a bunch of yard signs out front
yeah.
or in front of everything that you can, rather. But keep them in your vehicle. Treat them like business cards. Just pass them out like candy.
Exactly. Just quick and to the point, even with the QR code on it. Because people don't have that attention span to go and read all the crazy design. They just want straight to the point.
Yep, straight to the point. And the door hangers, I know a lot of guys have called me and said, "Oh, that doesn't work," but I've had other guys call me and say, I left 1,000 of them. I spent 2 days doing it, me and my wife, and we picked up, five 11th month inspections. I'm
Yeah,
like, that's awesome. That was their whole next week.
yeah.
you know?
You can look at it as so look at it as like a Facebook lead or a Google lead. What we do is we put the door hanger, and on the door hanger in big, not, you know, what we do is not in big letters. Inspections is in there, but what's in big letters is $30 off. That's it.
Yeah.
And for everyone that calls, we just consider that the cost of advertising to that person. Whoever doesn't use it, we don't lose the $30. But whoever does use it, we automatically know, hey, you're calling from the number from the door hanger, so they're already going to get $30 off whatever size house they have. We put
Yeah.
that into the cost of advertising to that person. We, like we said, we go. I hire. I get one of my guys to go out and pay them by the hour to go just hang 1,000 of them, and we put them down as the 11th month warranty inspections, even
Hmm.
maintenance inspections for commercial areas, maintenance inspections. Hey, don't want to get sued, don't want to worry about this and that, just give us a call. And that's why I'm sitting where I'm at right now. It's one of those
Yeah.
old school.
Yep. Old school. And then each one of those 11th month inspections, I only ever wanted to get one in a neighborhood.
Yeah,
I wouldn't spend entire days like some people have, like those
yeah,
people I told you about. I
of
would
course.
usually take an hour in between inspections to go find a neighborhood that was built, 9 months ago,
Yeah.
and start leaving the door hangers.
Hmm.
But once I got one, I put signs in their yard.
Yeah.
And now everybody who had that door hanger, they see my sign. So, the four touch rule with marketing.
Yeah, exactly.
So now they've seen me twice, and now the third time is when they're talking to your neighbor. Did they find anything? Oh
Oh yeah.
yeah, they found this busted chimney in my attic, or there was a crack in the foundation that was hidden by some sheetrock. You should
Yeah.
have him come check.
Mm.
Yeah, old school
Those,
methods, they still work.
they do. And word of mouth is paramount when you do a new construction. And I'll get a call. Hey, you did my neighbors. Okay. Hey, you did my neighbors. Okay. Hey, a bunch of us want to get an inspection. I got a call last week where a bunch of them got so they wanted like a group discount. I'm like, yeah, I'll
Hmm.
work with you guys. Yeah, it depends on how many houses, but you take what you can get. This is the time if you're talking about being able to survive what's going on right now. Okay. Unfortunately, but this in a necessity kind of way, your pricing is going to take a little bit of a hit just to get you through this. So you're going to have to give in a little here and there. Obviously, we always offer veteran discounts and first responder discounts. We have a lot of those in our area, so we always hand those out. But pricing might take a little bit of a hit right now because so many people are so tight with the holidays coming up and everything. So maybe relook at the way you price, not so much to where it's messing with our market, but it's even in our area, the area that we cover is so big, our pricing can even vary based on the county that you're going to, just because
Hmm.
of the income that is in that area. You can already tell. Los Angeles and San Diego, obviously higher income, they're going to be okay with the pricing that we have set. But in areas that have lower income bars set, we notice that we're getting a lot more no's and no's and no's and no's. So we adjust, $15 here accordingly, depending on where it's at. It's like kind of the cost of doing business. I think every major business does it,
Hmm.
depending on areas and stuff like that, even franchises. There's a difference, even though it's cents, for them, it's millions, for us,
Hmm.
it's more nickel and dime.
Yeah, and all of that stuff makes a lot of sense because we're all we're doing is trying to survive this downturn in the market. I see so many guys freak out and say, like that guy was telling you, I'm going out of business. This is the first market downturn we've had in almost 20 years. It's one of the longest good runs of a real estate market that we've ever had.
Yeah.
So for a lot of guys, this is the first time they're experiencing a little bit of a downturn.
Yeah.
But when it comes to changing our marketing a little bit, because each agent is worth less inspections now.
Yes, of course.
So an agent was always worth 10 inspections to us. Now they're going to be maybe worth 2 or 3 a year
Yeah.
instead. So that's almost at the value of, you know, direct to consumer plus going back to previous clients if we've been around for a little while.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, it's not going to hurt us.
No.
It's going to benefit us. So a lot of guys are like, well, I'll just wait it out and see if it happens. I'm like, Is it going to hurt you to do direct to consumer right now? No. So if it turns around and nothing happens with NAR and buyer's agent never goes away or never changes, cool. Now you have two funnels of marketing.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't we want that?
Yeah, I think
So
limiting yourself to just agents does you a disservice, and then
yeah,
also limiting yourself to just general home inspections does you a disservice as well.
yeah,
If you don't offer ancillary services, it makes marketing very difficult because everybody now is already up to par with thermal imaging, irrigation included, drone included, all of those things that you used to be able to call an ancillary or add-on service are now already expected in a general home inspection. So
yeah.
you really have to be able to stand out by offering more than just the general inspection. And that includes things like inspecting for attorneys and litigation from tenants and landlords. Those are very common out here in areas that are urban. Manufactured homes, doing new construction, branching out because people really search on Google mobile home inspection, manufactured home. They don't search general inspection if they are buying a manufactured home. They think it's different, even though the only real difference, honestly, is just the foundation configuration. That's it. Compared to a regular single family home, it's really, they just use different materials and the foundation's very vastly different. Or condo and townhouse inspections. These are all inspections that are we're getting a lot of right now. Condos, townhouses, manufactured homes. Why?
Mhm.
Because they're cheaper. That's the people that can afford to buy right now because everybody else is holding on to their money really tight and waiting for that percentage downturn for the interest rates. And they're not letting go of the interest rates they have now. Or if they're still renting, it's cheaper to rent right now than it is to buy for them on paper. So we're not, even though I'm in LA and San Diego, we're not seeing the $10 million, $15 million homes like we used to.
Mhm.
It's all the new construction, manufactured, condo, townhome, and then commercial is always it doesn't respond the same way to the market as residential does. So it's very different because they have a lot of things they have to adhere to, and they don't want to get sued, and that's really the pushing drive of getting inspections for them, anyways. So I think that if you're going to market yourself, limiting yourself to just general inspections, it keeps it's hard for you to stand out versus everyone else. And pool inspections as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to take what you said even a step further. So you said limiting ourselves to home inspections. I do know some guys that still do just home inspections.
Yeah.
And I'll be frank, it's low volume because if I have a septic system, if I have a chimney and all, I'm just going to go to the guy that seems the best qualified and offers all the rest of the services.
Yeah.
But I'm going to take it a step further. We can't just get stuck in home inspections, but we also can't just get stuck in what our market already expects.
Yeah. It's true.
So I think you basically alluded to that. Um, so if our market, like my market, they expect home inspection, wood destroying insect, and radon. We
Hmm.
call them the big three.
Yeah.
But if you do that, now you're just at the same pace as everybody else.
Hmm. Yeah.
Do you offer level 2 chimney inspections? Do you do septic inspections? Do you do anything else to make ourselves stand out a little bit? And those
Yeah.
ancillaries sometimes become our career almost.
Yeah.
I had one guy that did, and I brought up water treatment a bunch of times, and we're still actually working on it at the moment. But I know a home inspector that got into that, and then he actually shut down his home inspection company because his water company became too big.
Yeah.
Just started out by saying, "Oh, let me check out your water treatment system while I'm there."
Yeah.
Septic inspections for us are huge. We did it. I mean, multiple times a month, a week. We'll have a septic inspection on somebody's buying a house, and they're like, "We waived the home inspection, but we at least want the septic inspected." We wouldn't have had it. We wouldn't have had
Yeah.
anything, and then we're doing the septic for $400-500.
Yeah.
That
Exactly. Yeah.
that's awesome.
It's stuff like that. It's that out here, where I am, new construction in California, it's a requirement. Solar inspections, solar panels,
Hmm.
looking at the breaker, looking at the shutoff, and looking at the panels themselves while you're on the roof already, or while you're doing your drone. Um, Figuring out a way to make that into an ancillary service to where you can inspect enough to charge, but it's not, obviously it's not going to be, you're not going to go out and do, load calculations and how much they're going to save and all that, but you can make it to where you're offering enough of a service that you can charge for because it'll be valuable to them. Hey, your system, is there something wrong with your system, or your system's good? Sewer inspections are almost a separate business in my
Hmm.
company. It's like they're almost caught up to making as much as the general inspections. Pool inspections, they've gone up in price for us, but they're easy and standard.
Hmm.
I think the water quality testing is a big one. Out here in California, a lot of environmentally conscious people, so they do a lot of air quality testing, things like that. So it does depend on your climate and where you're at. But I think the idea that it should be limited to just what other people sell is, it limits you, because nobody thinks to offer solar inspections. They just go, oh, we don't inspect solar.
Hmm.
Contact your solar company if you have any issues. When we can easily add it on as a $150 service to do a quick evaluation of what your solar system is at. Look at the breakers, look at the wiring, look at the capacity, and then give you kind of an ancillary report on how it's doing and if you need any service or maintenance or repairs. And then they add it on, and there you go. That's an extra 20,000 a year just for going that extra mile. And I'm not saying start doing it without knowledge. Make sure, it's so easy to go and get a certification or go to a solar company and say, hey, I want some hands-on training. How do you guys, when you guys go out to inspect a solar system to, sell them or upsell them or whatever, what do you guys look at? Can you train me? Then get trained by a solar contractor in your area, which there are a ton of solar contractors everywhere. Get
Hmm.
trained, and then do that. If you not, don't just take an online course on pool inspections and then start inspecting pools. Do like I did, go to a pool contractor, ask them what they look for, ask them what inspectors miss, ask them all of that, and then add that to your credentials. Don't, I'm not saying add ancillary services without doing the proper training, because I've seen it happen before where
Hmm.
someone will get trained to look at manufactured homes and then they'll just immediately start doing manufactured homes, and there's a lot more to it than that.
So I like your solar idea. I am one of those guys that for a million years I've always said I just don't touch your solar system. What how long is a solar inspection? Like how much is an upcharge in general? Because around my area there's a lot of solar panels,
Yeah.
but nobody really does it around my area, so that might be an interesting idea.
So yeah, like a solar inspection is basically what you're looking at is so when you have the main electrical panel, you have the shut off for the solar, and you have the breaker for the solar and the photovoltaic system. What you're looking for is you're now extending your electrical inspection to just those areas. And depending on what the labeling and what the amp rating on those panels are, you count how many panels there are on the roof. You look at the brand system, and then you look up what the capacity is, and then you check the panels to see if there's any breaks. You look in the attic to see if there's any leaking coming from any of the connections on the roof. You make sure they use the right kind of flashings, and then you make the recommendations based on that. And then the inspection shouldn't take more than an additional 30 minutes or 40 minutes, depending on the size of the system. And then you refer them, hey, you have a panel that's broken. You have it looks like one of them, like you learn to read the watt usage and see if there's a discrepancy between how many solar panels you have and how much is being drawn and being
Hmm.
saved. And then you make recommendations. You should have we recommend a battery because you're producing so much energy and it's being lost. And then there's an issue with this breaker, wiring's loose or whatever it is, or this overheating, it's not properly transferring over to the breaker in the panel. And then you charge them, $149, and you tell them, you need to get the system looked at, or this system looks like it's in normal operating condition. I recommend you get another inspection in a couple of years. Make sure you do the solar cleaning, soft wash on the roof because it's a really dusty area, high wind, and that's it. And that's basically it. It's just like it's not really a really super detailed inspection, but when there are things wrong, you can save them a lot of money. It's kind of
Hmm.
like a sewer inspection. I tell people get sewer inspections in new construction, and they always tell me no, 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 no. But every time I do, I find lines
Yeah.
that are disconnected, lines that have grout hardened and poured and filled halfway. Because I don't know why they pour grout down these damn lines when the work that they hire, it just I'm like, this is why I recommend a sewer line inspection. Now, maybe 2 times out of 10, it'll be a clear line, no issues, just normal grease buildup. That's it. Maybe one piece of toilet paper. It's clear all the way to the city. And they're like, oh man, I paid $300 to find that. I'm like, yeah, but it to replace a sewer line that has issues is
Hmm.
$10,000. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like it's one of those trade-offs. Yeah. So it's something to look into, but it's worth it. I mean, there's always money to be made, and there's a value there. People ask all the time, so there is value there.
It's funny whenever, depending on if I knew the client really well or not, sometimes they would say something like that, like, "Oh, I paid for a pest inspection, but there weren't pests." I'm like, "You paid your proctologist for a scope,
Yeah.
and you're upset at him because he didn't find anything." I'm like, "That's it depended on the client who I would say that to, but that's I'd usually say, he went to your general practitioner, he said you're healthy, he didn't get upset about going. You're like, okay, good, I'm healthy."
Yeah,
So it's the same
exactly.
thing with your home.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm stuck on this solar thing because I like the idea of it. Like, how much is a solar inspection out in California area?
So nobody does them.
No.
Me, yeah. So me, myself right now, I'm working with a solar contractor to build kind of a standard of what should be looked at by by, like, let's say, a general home inspector. What would be helpful to a contractor to look at to find out what's going on with the solar system so they can quote the repair. So it's kind of like a sewer line inspection. I did it by while working alongside a plumber. I said,
Hmm.
okay, in what way could I make this report to where the client can send it to you along with the video and you can quote them on what the repair would be? Because that would add the most value rather than saying, hey, there's an issue here, call a plumber. And then the plumber has to do another sewer scope to find out themselves. You say, so I told them, I said, a lot of people want their solar system looked at. He's like, yeah, we get hundreds of those calls a week. We're not just going to go out there and look at it for them, and our time is valuable. I was like, all right, so how can I look at that system and look for issues that might be there and make a report that would be valuable to you if there's an issue so that you can repair or offer replacement or whatever, and for not just for you specifically, but for any solar contractor, whoever they decide to use. Um, and then what would that look like? And he's walking me through the steps of when we go out there, this is what we look at. The things I just talked about a minute ago. We look at the panels, we look at the capacity, we look at what it's actually putting out. And this is how we look at those things. And it takes us about 20, 30 minutes. We have a little checklist that we go through. I was like, okay, so I want to turn that checklist into a template for my report so that I can now go out and do solar inspections. And that's what I'm building right now. And the great thing about this podcast is that I hope that people in my area hear this and do the same thing, because
Hmm.
then we can compete. Then we can go out and be the best we can, and we can make it a standard. And then we all make more money together because people are like, everybody is getting solar inspections. Why, because it's gonna, like, they're gonna say, who else does this? Nobody. Why are you even bringing it up, Mike? Realtors say, though, it's like, just do what you've been doing. Refer them to a solar guy. They'll never call, and then nobody will have any issues. I'm like, okay, it's like one of those things.
Yeah, so I mean, it's about market education. The more
Yeah,
guys that do the service, like it's not a secret, the more people who do your service that you're trying to start, the more market education is, then it becomes a standard. So that's smart, and that's also very generous of you to share that too. But you had mentioned before the podcast about using AI to
yes,
market to direct to consumer. I use AI every
and
day.
everything,
Oh
and
my goodness. I used it for gift ideas for my anniversary. I'm just like, hey, those are not bad ideas.
I think I use AI in nearly every aspect of the business, even in report writing. Whenever I see something unique, I'll say, you know what? I'm like, okay, so I tell AI, hey, so I have this drain that has 3 traps on it before it even makes it to the vent, and I need you to explain it in a way that is short, basic, to the point, make an observation and a recommendation, and bam. Because
Yeah.
otherwise, I'm sitting there technically writing it all out. I look at it, I proofread it, and I'm like, copy, and then change a couple things, take off a couple things, and then there goes in that comment for that specific item. That's easy for report writing. It just puts your own words of seeing something and makes it a little simpler. But when it comes to marketing, it's very different. So I have this fear also with AI and marketing. Just be wary that one day Google may be able to flag anything written by Chat GPT. If it has any metadata in it that will show, hey, this was done by an AI chatbot or something. So try to use try to use the chat GPT or any kind of AI as a way of giving you ideas and articulating something that you might not be able to articulate yourself with your marketing. It's easy to, if you think about your social media, which is part of your marketing, should be part of your marketing. Um, Making posts every day is nearly impossible, right? So it gives you content to put in these posts that might show up, because social media does now show up on Google searches, YouTube, TikTok. These all now, when you search home inspections or home inspection finds, there's the social media market's so saturated that now you can count it as almost a secondary website of how you conduct your services, how you conduct your business, because it's showing up on Google searches. So using the AI for marketing is really at the base level right now, and then one day could eventually take over those positions. I have this fear, and I talked to my wife about it. This is I always like to psych myself out. This is why I do so many different things. Um, my fear is somehow there is going to be a way that AI will eliminate, the need for full home inspections, right? So not now or anytime now, but I always think like that, so that I have to kind of add it into. You can't run away from. It's like I heard one realtor say to the other, if you're the kind of realtor that says fax me that, and you make fun of those realtors, it not using AI right now is the same as saying, fax me that. You have
Hmm.
to keep up with what the current trend is, which is using AI in your business in as many aspects as you can, especially with the whole template crap that's been going on. I'm sorry. I'm glad that it didn't affect me, and I listened to that podcast.
It does affect you though, just
Well, I'm
not
glad it didn't.
directly.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's, I,
it
I think
affects all of us.
it does affect us, but it's like one of those things that I'm like, I'm gonna put this on the shelf to worry about later because I got to get to
Yeah,
this. You know what I mean? It's like it's kind of like the NAR lawsuit thing. It's like, well, it's a little closer on the shelf than the template thing for me.
yeah,
It's one of those things. And the funny thing is that when I heard that podcast, and I heard Nick talking, I think the other guy was Thornberry, right?
yeah.
Who was it? Yeah,
Thornberry.
yeah. Um, Immediately when I heard the podcast, I bought a bunch of porch. I did. I bought it at like
Made a
50
bunch of
cents.
money.
50 cents, yeah, and it shot up to $1 like a couple of days ago, like doubled.
Yeah.
Real, it was great, and then I sold it. But that podcast episode, what it really was a way of showing me that you can't rely on what other people do for marketing. You have to kind of make it your own. And same with templates. Using AI to make it kind of your own, by using it by talk, because you can talk to it now. You can have a full-on conversation with your voice to a AI voice on the Chat
Hmm.
GPT 4 app, and say, how can I change the way I do this? Is how I do things now, and then give them a sample of what you do. How can I change this to be more modern, to be more cutting edge, and market to the consumer?
So if I could just touch on a couple of points there.
Yeah,
That was an insane podcast, first of all, with Nick and Nathan.
yeah,
That
that
was a
was
ton of
wild,
fun.
man.
But I do have to give a plug for our app. We actually integrate directly with ChatGPT. So
Ah,
you can actually, while you're inspecting, say shorten this comment with just clicking on it. We have three options: create a comment, shorten, lengthen. And we have pre-prompts in it, so it already knows what state you're in, that you're a home inspector, and you can say, write this up in a short comment, but add the standards for my state in there, and
yeah,
it'll do all that. So it's really awesome. So I have to give a plug for Inspector Toolbelt. Built
nice.
right in. As far as I know, we're the only home inspection app that has it built in at the moment, and it's
Yeah,
been months. The Google thing about I did want to talk about AI and blog writing, because
yeah,
that is still one of the best ways to be able to reach consumers,
hmm,
is to not just blog about home inspections, but blog about the home buying experience in general. And
yeah,
the more niche keyword set that you can find, the better.
yeah,
So if you write, how do I take care of my HVAC unit? You're never going to be seen.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
not the keywords you should be looking for. Now, if you have a keyword set of, can I clean efflorescence with vinegar and baking soda?
Mm,
That's getting a little bit better.
yeah,
But now if you say, are the houses in Guilderland, New York infested with termites?
yeah. That's really
Even the more specific we get, the better.
Yeah.
AI is actually so Google is actually John Mueller. He officially said Google has known about AI content for the better part of a decade,
Mm.
and their official stance is we don't care because of what they have called the helpful content update.
Okay.
They're like whether it's AI generated or not, as long as it's helpful, and they
Yeah.
measure that in a lot of different ways. They're like we don't care who wrote it.
Yeah.
So we just have to be careful that our content is helpful. Like if we write content and we say write me a blog about a roof, that's
Mm.
not helpful. It's just gonna be general information.
Yeah.
Now, write me a blog about architectural shingle roofs when there's nail heads showing, how to fix it, and describe if it's serious or not, and make it very local to San Diego, California, or
Yeah.
this specific neighborhood.
Yeah. It's true.
Now, Google will see that as being more helpful content.
Yeah.
So, and never just take it the way it gives it. Read it over, rewrite it, make
Of
it
course.
more human sounding, obviously. But
Yeah. Yeah.
but
That
when it
makes.
comes to direct to consumer, I still have people that find us on blogs that I wrote 15 years ago.
Yeah.
There's a neighborhood in where I grew up. I knew the homes really well. They have three things: radon, termites, and aluminum wiring. I wrote a
Mm.
blog on all of them. Tiny little village, maybe 10,000 people, maybe
Mm.
12,000. And to this day, I still get work from that. I can watch them land on that blog,
Mm.
schedule an inspection, and then we're out there doing that inspection.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So content is still
Yeah.
important. It's becoming less important though. It's kind of
Yeah.
like peeing in an ocean now because there's so much content out there.
Yeah, because I the other day I was testing out the system, and so the Chat GPT 4, which is like the premium one, if
Hmm.
you can take a photo with it now or put a photo into it. So I took a photo of a trap that had the flex line installed on it, this little
Hmm.
plastic flex line, and I said, explain to me what's going on here, and make a recommendation if there's any issues. And it explained, it looks like you have a PVC drain and it has a flexible
Oh,
drain,
jeez.
and it has a flexible drain, and it looks like it's underneath the sink in the cabinet, and these flexible drains are not efficient. It's recommended that a plumber install a smooth wall drain. And I was like, well, that's just from a photo, you know.
Yeah.
So imagine that in the hands of a typical homeowner who is like, my water heater sounds funny. What's this popping sound I'm here? It'll explain everything to them. They don't have to call us, a plumber, or anything. It'll just tell them. My fear is that it'll be wrong sometimes, obviously, but
Oh,
it
obviously, yeah.
it'll at least tell them. But it's like humans, sometimes there's inspectors or plumbers or electricians that'll miss stuff or get something wrong, right? Eventually, AI will be, which it already operates faster than our own minds. It's gonna eventually catch all its mistakes and one day not make any mistakes. But you have to watch it now and see what it can do. Imagine this is all within a span of what, a year? It's
Yeah,
insane.
it's been about a year. I actually watched a documentary. It's called Terminator. There's
Yeah.
two of them. There's a sequel. Yeah, so it doesn't end up well for us.
No, it doesn't. Unless your name is Connor.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's one of those things. So you have to plan accordingly. You have to branch out. You have time on your hands, and you have an opportunity to learn as much as you can. Ancillary services. It's not a big thing to go take a $400 course from Mr. Crump for sewer inspections. And then meet with a local plumber and have them give you advice, and then just get a sewer camera. You can get one on Amazon for $1,900. Crap, use a firm to get it if you have to do payment plans. Get
Hmm.
started and then start offering it if you know what you're doing, and then work from there. And that's an extra 300, 250 bucks in your pocket that has an upsell on every inspection. If a house has a tree in front of it, get a sewer line inspection. That's it. And that's an extra 1,000 bucks in your pocket a week if you can do it. And that will get you through what you need to. But right now, if there's three types of inspectors listening, the one just getting into it, there's a lot to get into this business, but I recommend getting into it now, right? Right now,
Hmm.
learn as
Yeah.
much as you can from everyone that you can. The second kind is the one that's in the middle of his growth, which I consider myself right in the middle of my growth. Keep going with what works and go all in. When you're going to invest in your business, invest your own money and time to grow it. And if you think it's going to be it only works if you're all in. This is not a part-time job. It's not. And then
Yeah.
the other type of person listening in is someone who is extremely successful, and I'm calling on you to call Ian so I can find out what you're doing and do
Be
that.
on
You
the
know,
show. Yeah.
yeah, get yeah. If you're doing so great, I want to learn from you. I have so much to learn, and I want to learn from you. You have a wealth of knowledge that would benefit all of us, and it's such a big country, and even it's just you're letting it waste away by not helping your fellow inspector. Unless they're right next door to you.
Yeah.
It's important. We all grow and learn. That's what I've learned so far.
Yeah, and it's always great having you on the show to go along with your message. I think you kind of captured our audience for the most part with those three categories there. But my big takeaways from our discussion today is direct to consumer is becoming more important now.
Yep.
Whether or not the NAR thing actually happens, just because of the way the market is right now, it's becoming more important. Old school methods going to be important. Yard signs, door hangers for 11th month inspections, new construction door hangers, things like that. Those old school methods are going to be great.
Mhm.
Even though we didn't talk much about it, going back to old clients and remarketing to them is going to be even more important now. Facebook groups for local towns around us, towns and cities, going to be incredible to be part of that. I liked all your discussion about the ancillary inspections, especially the solar panel one. I think that's a fantastic idea, and I'm a little jealous that you had that thought, and I
Well, we
didn't
should
I
get
didn't
together.
do it.
I haven't fully developed it yet. I would love to get together with you and actually make a standard so that way, if we can make a standard, we can share it with everyone. And
Yeah,
if we share with everyone, then we can make a standard, and then we can make a standard price and expectation, so that no one can ever offer less than that standard without knowing that they're not meeting, the requirements for a solar inspection, because it
yeah,
all starts just like that. Solar was never something that everyone thought of, but now in my state it's a requirement, and eventually it moves on to other states, and it's going to
yeah.
be something that we're going to rely on in the future. If you're thinking about building a business that you want to pass on to your kids or your family, adding a solar inspection you can't question it whatsoever.
Yeah, no, I think it's an amazing idea.
Yeah.
We should totally flesh that out. But yeah, these are all great things, and keeping up with modern technology like AI. If we're not using it now, or if we think it's a joke, just spend some time on it. It's not a joke, and we really should be using it, and it's good for a lot of things that we do for direct consumer marketing. But Mike, I hate to say it, but we're out of time. Me and you could go on all day, and you have a commercial inspection to get back to. So thank you very much for taking your time out.
No worries, man. I appreciate your time. I appreciate talking to you. And I know we didn't get a chance to talk about it. We should do another one on commercial inspections.
Yeah,
Obviously, it can seem very, very intimidating, and there's no easy way to do it, but it's doable if you have the passion for inspecting. I always say residential inspections. Honestly, anybody can become passionate about that, but commercial, it's got to be a lifestyle. Like, you have to actually be interested in the way a building is built, and that's something that comes with time, but it's something that's attainable for sure.
yeah, it's the ultimate level, in my opinion, to reach out to as an inspector. But let's get that on the books. I would love to talk about that.
Yeah, sounds
Thanks
good,
as
man.
always, Mike.
All right, brother.
Talk soon.